We will be talking about insulin preparations now. They are classified as rapid, short, intermediate, or long-acting. Firstly, talking about rapid-acting and short-acting insulin preparations. 4 preparations fall into this category: regular insulin, insulin lispro, insulin aspart, and insulin glucoside. Regular insulin is a short-acting, soluble, crystalline zinc insulin. Insulin lispro, aspart, and glucoside are classified as rapid-acting insulins. Modification of the amino acid sequence of regular insulin produces analogs that are rapid-acting insulins. For example, insulin lispro differs from regular insulin in that the lysine and proline at positions 28 and 29 in the B chain are reverse. This modification results in more rapid absorption, a quicker onset, and a shorter duration of action after subcutaneous injection. Peak levels of insulin lispro are seen at 30 to 90 minutes, as compared with 50 to 120 minutes for regular insulin. Insulin aspart and insulin glucoside have pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic properties like those of insulin lispro. Rapid or short-acting insulins are administered to mimic the prandial, mealtime, release of insulin and to control postprandial glucose. They may also be used in cases where swift correction of elevated glucose is needed. Rapid and short-acting insulins are usually used in conjunction with a longer-acting basal insulin that provides control of fasting glucose. Regular insulin should be injected subcutaneously 30 minutes before a meal, whereas rapid-acting insulins are administered in the 15 minutes preceding a meal or within 15 to 20 minutes after starting a meal. Rapid-acting insulins are commonly used in external insulin pumps, and they are suitable for Roman-IV administration, although regular insulin is most used when the Roman-IV route is needed. Let us talk about intermediate-acting insulin. Neutral protamine hagedorn, NPH, insulin is an intermediate-acting insulin formed by the addition of zinc and protamine to regular insulin. Another name for this preparation is insulin isophane. The combination with protamine forms a complex that is less soluble, resulting in delayed absorption and a longer duration of action. NPH insulin is used for basal fasting control in type 1 or 2 diabetes and is usually given along with rapid or short-acting insulin for mealtime control. NPH insulin should be given only subcutaneously, never intravenously, and it should not be used when rapid glucose lowering is needed, for example, diabetic ketoacidosis. Moving towards long-acting insulin preparations. The isoelectric point of insulin glargine is lower than that of human insulin, leading to formation of a precipitate at the injection site that releases insulin over an extended period. The isoelectric point is the point at which the overall charge of the protein is 0. It has a slower onset than NPH insulin and a flat, prolonged hypoglycemic effect with no peak. Insulin detemir has a fatty acid side chain that enhances association to albumin. Slow dissociation from albumin results in long-acting properties like those of insulin glargine. As with NPH insulin, insulin glargine and insulin detemir are used for basal control and should only be administered subcutaneously. Neither long-acting insulin should be mixed in the same syringe with other insulins, because doing so may alter the pharmacodynamic profile. So, what are possible insulin combinations used in patients? Various premix combinations of human insulins, such as 70% NPH insulin plus 30% regular insulin, or 50% of each of these, are also available. Use of premix combinations decreases the number of daily injections, but makes it more difficult to adjust individual components of the insulin regimen. If we compare standard treatment versus intensive treatment, standard insulin therapy involves twice-daily injections. In contrast, intensive treatment utilizes 3 or more injections daily with frequent monitoring of blood glucose levels. The ADA recommends a target mean blood glucose level of 154 mg per deciliter or less, in which HbA1c less than 7%, and intensive treatment is more likely to achieve this goal. Normal mean blood glucose is approximately 115 mg per deciliter or less, HbA1c less than 5.7%. The frequency of hypoglycemic episodes, coma, and seizures is higher with intensive insulin regimens. However, patients on intensive therapy show a significant reduction in microvascular complications of diabetes, such as retinopathy, nephropathy, and neuropathy, compared to patients receiving standard care. Intensive therapy should not be recommended for patients with long-standing diabetes, significant microvascular complications, advanced age, and those with hypoglycemic unawareness. Intensive therapy has not been shown to significantly reduce macrovascular complications of diabetes. So that was all about the insulin preparations. Stick with us and learn about other anti-diabetic agents as well.